Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with the second video showing the Tonic Studios Craft Kit number 8. First video was a project, that's what I'll call that. These are going to focus on cards, and there will be a third video that's coming out later this week. So let's get started with the first card. So I used my wonky stitch die from My Favorite Things to cut out the gray panel using their gray textured. I also used the My Favorite Things smile dies. And I cut that out of the silver mirror cardstock. I created a glitter panel, and I just took a piece of cardstock, layered it with double-sided tape, and then poured the glitter on top, of course, and burnished it onto the double-sided tape, because you got a full size of the glitter. I'll never run out of that glitter, which is good. I pulled a brad from my stash. This is the die that I used. Now again, I'm pre-cutting some things because these are very detailed. I do use a Sizzix Big Shot, and I'm not having any problem with the details and the intricate dies going through my machine. I'm not using a shim or anything else like that. So these dies are really etched well. I'm going to adhere this glitter panel onto a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square that I just cut using my paper trimmer, so that out of the silver silk specialty paper, and I'm going to set that aside with an acrylic block on top to make sure that that sticks. So now I want to take these silver letters and I want to put them across the bottom, and you're going to see a major happy accident. So I actually, first time I think ever, I pulled out a ruler. You would think smile 5 letters, the I would be the center point. Nope, don't do that. Always measure out your letters. Look at your card base if you want to get that detailed. I usually don't do this. I usually just go for it. And now I'm off. Now the I's the only one that I have adhered, but I am going to pull it off. Thinking if I shift the letters over a little bit, that should be able to cover that mark. No. So I went back to the gray textured. I just cut a piece. This is about 1.5 by 4 inches. And I'm using their Clear Mark ink. We also, we know it as Versamark clear ink. But this is their version, and I really like it. It does have a different feel to it. I don't know. I want to say it's a little thicker. And I don't know if that's the right term, but I really did like it. So I took this panel, I just distressed around the edges with it, and now I'm applying the Silver Moonlight embossing powder over that edge just to accent it a little bit more. So if you like glitter, you like shimmer, yeah, this card is definitely for you, because we just kept on adding more and more glitter. So I'm going to heat set that with my heating tool. And it just looks really sharp, the way that the marks came through because this cardstock is very textured. So this time I'm going to place my letters first before I do any gluing, and then they'll be centered on this panel. So again, yes, mistake, you can see it up there on the left-hand side, but again, there are ways to cover them up. There's ways to fix it. Don't ever get so frustrated and discouraged that you just throw out everything that you've done. Yes, it was early in my project, but still, I'm just not going to do that. You can figure out a way to change it or make it work for you. So in my mind, this did kind of work for me. Maybe create a panel, use the silver embossing powder, just have fun with it. Gave it a different edge, a look. So I'm going to take the other glitter panel that I had drying on top of a foam pad, and I'm going to puncture through, because I did pull a brad out from my stash. This was from a past kit that I received. I don't know where you could get them or where you could purchase it. And I added some foam tape to the back, and I'm just going to puncture through again so it's through that foam tape. I'm then going to pull off the top layer just so I can get the brad through the top panel. And then I'll remove the rest of the backing on the foam tape so that I can put it down onto the gray base and just pray when I put it down that I'm straight, because I kind of went really quick. And thank goodness it was. But even if it wasn't, we know I'm not crazy about 90-degree angles. Everything doesn't have to be straight when it comes to a card. Again, these are handmade. So I'm just pressing that down to make sure that the brad is flat in the back. And then I'm taking this huge smile and I'm going to adhere that onto my panel as well. But first I'm going to use a distressing tool. This is by Tim Holtz. And I'm just going to scratch around the edges. Again, just to give this panel a little bit of difference because the silver embossing powder is not perfect on there. I wanted a distressed look when it came to that, so I wanted to continue. I grabbed a couple strips of double-sided foam tape, and I'm going to place that right down on the base of my panel. So I have that brad there. Now it won't be showing because I'm going to be putting this on my card base, but I always like to put just a piece of double-sided tape on top of that because it is metal, and I want to kind of protect it just a little bit. But I didn't want to prop this card up on with some fun foam, which would protect it even more. So I just put a piece of double-sided tape, and then I'm going to add my glue, and that's going to go straight down on our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 top folding card base. So very different colors, but I really like it. I really like the glitter. I love the embossing powder and everything else that I used. So for card number 2, one of the things that I have been playing with, now you can see my panel there. I used the penny black antique frame dies, and now I'm going to be using the other small rectangle dies that came in the kit. So I have the lattice in the top, and then I have this other geometric design, and I'm just cutting into the panel here from the dark blue or denim blue. I forget the color, the color name that they're using of the textured cardstock. And I'm going to back it with this beautiful silver lattice specialty paper. It pained me to cut into that. But I'm just going to have a panel that's just going to sit so that that will actually show through the cutouts that I have when it comes to this panel here. I'm going to use the No.8 adhesive, and I'm just going to put glue around the cutouts, and then I'm going to set this on top of our specialty paper, and I will be putting an acrylic block on top of it. Again, that specialty paper is extremely textured, so I just want to make sure that it's going to adhere onto the other cardstock that I'm using. One of the things that I have been playing with are the Nuvo shimmer powders. They are phenomenal. I think there's 7 or 8 of them, and they are just great to work with. So you want to have a spray bottle. It doesn't have to be a distressed spray bottle. You want to make sure that you do tape down your piece. This is Canson watercolor. And you can see, I mean, even this, you don't need this much, but I really wanted it dark. This color is called Catherine Wheel, and you just want to spray gingerly. If you just spray full force, you will spread that powder all over in areas that you won't see it. I'm still finding it, and it's actually on some of my card bases, so it's kind of funny. So probably a spray box would be good when using these. But you can see, just look at the colors. You got shades of yellow, orange, red. There's also a shimmer that goes through this. In this case, it is a hint of gold that's also going through this. When I use these, because you're using so much water, so again, make sure you tape it down. I'm showing this process just so you can see how I'm using the heat gun to move the paint so that I get those differences, the blotches, and you can see the movement of it. So I'm also tilting my board so that that water will also move as well. And you can see that's what we get. I didn't add any other water to it. That's just how it dried, because I'm able to move it and mesh it around so much with the heat. I had these dies in my stash. They are by Recollections. I get them from Michael's. I'm not sure if these are still available, but I just love the words. Love, laugh, and live. And it's live. In this case, we could say live. So I'm cutting out through that panel, and I made sure that the differences that we're going to show on these colors. So this is like going to be using like coral colors and reds on top of that blue panel. I pulled out my vintage photo because I just wanted to distress around the edges for two reasons. One, it helps them to stand out, mutes them down just a little bit, and it also hides the white that's coming off of the watercolor paper. This double-sided foam tape, it is really good. I get it from Uline. It's very less expensive, and it is strong. I mean, once you put it down, yeah, you don't have any time. Once it's attached to paper, it is difficult to get separate. So I'm just showing this a little bit. I've been getting questions on it. I recommend it, but then again, I don't. So it is frustrating. You do need your pokey tool to pull off the backing, and you cannot tear it. So that's why I'm always cutting it. So just a little side note there. Now I'm going to adhere my cutouts, my sentiments, and I'm going to set one off of each of the panels. I didn't want to hide the cutouts because I didn't want to hide the texture paper that's going on back there. So each sentiment die cut is going to be set on an angle, more so on the blue cardstock. Except for love, I actually put that straight down. So live, laugh, and love. I'm then going to use, in the kit, you also got a small sample of the blue denim Nouveau drops, and I'm just going to put a drop in the bottom corner of each of the L's. Again, just kind of ties everything together. And that's our second card. For the third card, so one of the beautiful papers is this one, the specialty paper. So I just cut that to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. No dies were used on that. I'm going to use one of the stamps, and it says Secret. I'm going to stamp that down onto a scrap piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to use their Blue Odyssey. It's a sample that came in the kit as well, and I'm going to heat set that. You may ask, why is she using the Sentiment Secret? You'll see. So we have that. I cut another 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch block of a scrap piece of craft paper, and I'm going to then die cut the other 2 pieces out as well. I used the silver silk to cut the label holder, we'll call it that. For the craft one, I'm using my Nouveau blending brushes that I absolutely love, and my vintage photo, and I'm just going over this die cut. I waited until I had it die cut because then the edges will pick up the ink, so they'll be darker around the edges. Again, it just gives it a little bit of depth, a little bit of texture. So I only cut out one of the templates for the box form. That's all I wanted. I'm going to cut off that one section that does not have the tabs, and I'm going to use a little bit of glue on each of those tabs. One thing I do like about this Nouveau glue, or their glues in general, they are quick adhering. So even though it's liquid, you do have some time for movement, but it's pretty quick, which is what I like when it comes to a liquid glue. So you can see just by folding that up, you get a little pocket. So I'm going to use my score tool or my bone folder just to crease those edges just a little bit. I'm going to take the craft panel and I'm going to adhere it in the front of this pocket that we've created. Now what that's also going to do is the back is smooth because you've got that little cutout, almost looks like a tag, which you could make this a tag. So this is actually cutting because these two panels in the front, there's actually a score line there, Again, it forms the box. That's okay. That piece is going to hide that. So to focus in, again, this is my sentiment. So again, I'm going to puncture 2 holes on each side of the, I don't know what you want to call that. Oh, we'll call this a label border. So 2 holes on each of the side. I did dig into my stash and I found 2 small silver brads. And I'm also going through the specialty paper panel because, again, I want the brads to come on the back. So it looks like this is a metal piece that's sitting on the front of our card. So it's got a little bit of form there. And I'm going to take the secret. I used, again, some Distress ink because it pulls in what that tag in the back has. And I'm going to prop that up with some foam squares and then put that on our silver piece. Oops. Yeah, I kept on dropping things. So once that's set, I used some fun foam, hit the tripod as I did that, and I'm going to set that down just to prop this up. So what to do with this? Now again, you can puncture a hole on top of that. You can make them tags. Whatever it is you want to do, think outside the box. Even though, no pun intended, it's creating a box, look at what the different segments are. So I took that, adhered it, and now I've created a gift card holder. So think about it. If you punctured a hole on the top, and maybe you'll be seeing this, you can create a tag for a gift, or a tag coming off of a card. So again, just break that just a little bit. It wasn't easy to think of that. I was playing with the box when I was putting it together, and that's actually how I'm like, wait a minute, I could create this pocket. So just playing with the dies can also inspire you as well. What also came in the kit, okay, back to the video. What also came in the kit is this black and white twine, which is really nice. It's a nice thick weight. I created a bow, and I'm just going to put that underneath the secret, our sentiment. So that is our 3rd card. So those are the 3 cards that I made from this kit. So here are some close-ups of the cards we created today. So again, we only created 3 cards for this video. We had 1 project that was published before, and I will make sure I link to that, and there's 1 more video that's coming out. If you like this video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up. If you should have any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Interested in subscribing? The links are also listed below in the description box. But remember, if the links are not working, if they do not take you to the page to subscribe, that's okay. You'll just have to wait to the 6th or the 7th to subscribe of the following month. I promise you will be able to get this kit for sure. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I've also listed a couple other videos I think you might be interested in. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and always remember, be creative.